So now we are going live on the YouTube. So just refresh over on YouTube.
Have
And
you ever spent
should have a little
hours
speaker
online
button
shopping?
down there at the bottom of the picture.
Ah,
And if you click that, it should mute it.
perfect.
Because
So I
otherwise you'll
should,
get a horrible distortion, and one of the audios will lag behind the other one. So you don't want to listen to YouTube. Nothing wrong with watching it, because it's more interesting probably than, I don't know, maybe it's more interesting than the view you have. But
I lost my view of you, believe it or not. My missed video call, it shrunk. It disappeared.
huh. Well,
But
I
that,
can
it
still
could,
hear you. I can still hear you.
all
And
right.
so we're still here. So I guess if you want to just watch YouTube, then you can do that, because it's basically going to be the same picture on there. Hey,
That's
everybody, we
awesome.
got Joe. Hey, so how do you pronounce your last name, Joe?
Corsaro.
Corsaro. Okay.
Yeah.
Joe Corsaro. And we will officially be going live in a little less than 2 minutes. Kevin is on here. Very nice. I'm glad you joined, Kevin. The entire Richmond. Not sure what that means. Neil Morgan is on here. William Schmidt Matson is on here. Mortis005. Mortis, I'm working hard to try and get some more stuff sent to you. And I'm going to send you some new stuff to check out too. Scott, did your package ever arrive up in Canada? Red Mist is on here. Ed Irvin, that's a new name, isn't it? I don't recognize that name. Thank you for joining us tonight, Ed. Package has not arrived yet. Okay, Scott. Let's see. I think I sent you a tracking number for it, so we should have a follow up on it if we have to. Well, thank you for joining, Ed. I appreciate it. We're going to have some fun tonight. We're going to talk about new Kickstarter that is coming from Dragon Bait Miniatures. We have a special guest on here tonight, and we're going to officially go live in a little less than a minute. Made my own clear bases this week. Thanks for the tip. Don't let Scott know. Don't let Scott know that you're doing clear bases. Neil Moore, where are you at? Did I lose Bessy? Where are you? Okay. Well, we're going to be starting here in just a little bit. Let's see here. Check out these cool miniatures we have from Dragon Bait Miniatures. Now, these are not ours to keep. Joe sent these to us. Joe, say hi to everybody.
Hello, folks.
Can you guys hear him okay? I'm assuming that they can hear you, Joe. There's always a little bit of a delay between what we say and get a response out there.
Oh, yeah.
So there's the I don't know. Can you hear him, Bessy? Can you hear Joe? Okay. All right. Very cool. Thank you guys so much for joining tonight. Kevin. Oh, we got Vern on here too. Ptolemychus up there in Pennsylvania is on here. Clyde Dashing. Very cool. Very cool. So one of the things that I'd like to do tonight also is no reason for you all not to ask questions of Joe as well. I will call the cops on anyone using clear bases. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. The clear base police are coming after you. Frank is on here too. Very cool. Have they said what mat they are using? Hey Frank, this is an old This old mat is from Monster Fight Club. Monster Fight Club mat, and it's one of the big reasons why I really like this mat. And I'd love to get more of them, is because it's double sided. So without increasing the cost very much, it's a double-sided mat. So I got a nice green side and a nice kind of desert side. So that's pretty cool. Monster Fight Club, 3 foot by 3 foot. Um, I have found it fairly difficult to get them, but I'm sure they're out there. I just don't know where. All right, boys and girls. It's well after 8 o'clock, and that means I'm supposed to say something like, "Hey, everybody, this is Dave here at Pulp Alley, and I am with the world's most dangerous Bessy." We also have a special guest on tonight. We have a special guest with us this evening. We're going to check out some cool figures, some brand new figures that I bet you guys haven't really had a chance to see yet. Let's see here. I'm going to show you a quick picture of Joe Corsaro. Let's see if I can put it on there. Look right there. Hey, look, everybody. There's Joe Corsaro.
Such a handsome devil.
Ah, man, I tell you what, that's a handsome devil right there. Holy cow. So Joe Corsaro is joining us, and he has some handsome miniatures. Joe is the owner and the janitor over there at Dragon Bait Miniatures. If you're not familiar with this website, you ought to do yourself a favor and go over and check it out, because he has a lot of cool stuff over there. He's got a lot of different, you know what? Let's let Joe explain it to you, because he probably does it better than I do. So, Joe, tell us, what kind of miniatures do you have available through Dragon Bait Miniatures?
I get bored easily, so I started with fantasy, and I have a pretty strong fantasy range. Then I went to fantasy monsters, and then I went to and then I did basically clockwork stuff, a lot of steampunk, and then I got to zombies because I can't keep a train of thought, and then I bounced back and did some sci-fi miniatures. So I have quite a few genres over there.
Yeah, yeah. And that's not even mentioning the stuff that you picked up from Dark Fable, right? The stuff that you picked up from Dark Fable is pretty cool too.
Oh no, the dark. A very good friend of mine. I knew since I was 14. It was another mini guy. He was a very clear friend of mine. He passed away 2 years ago, and he had started Dark Fable miniatures with all the Egyptians and the big orcs and those ranges. The Egyptian range for Dark Fable did very well.
Yeah.
And I acquired the ranges, and they just the Egyptian range for Dark Fable is very popular and has quite a following.
Yeah, yeah. That's what Bessy and I were looking at, and we want to get some more of those. Now, I got some of his Dark Fable miniatures years ago, and they're actually part of our collection. And we use the Dark Fable Egyptian miniatures fairly often, so that's pretty cool. I love a lot of good, cool characters all through there. So do yourself a favor and get over there, dragonbaitminiatures.com or something. I really enjoyed the what was it, the zombie stuff.
Yeah,
And I'm
zombie
repeating
Girl
myself a
Scouts.
little bit here, but I really enjoyed the Girl Scout zombie hunters. So he's got a couple zombie Girl Scouts, and he's got a couple zombie hunter Girl Scouts. And then he's got a den mom holding a baby in a baby carrier, and she has a diaper bag with a bottle in it, and then a big old gun in her hand as well. So mom's taking care of business as far as dealing with the zombies there. So very cool, very cool. And then the somewhat slightly chubby zombie hunter in the mobility scooter. Absolutely tongue in cheek, cool,
I'm
fun.
enamored with that.
I want to get that. That's gonna be my miniature the next time we play Dead Rise. I want that to be my character. I want that zombie hunter out there in a mobility scooter just riding around shooting at zombies. That would be a lot of fun. So tell us, who designs the miniatures? Who comes up with the ideas, and then who sculpts them
Well,
for Dragon Bait?
I have one skills and art. I design all the miniatures, which means is I decide what I want to do, and I'll have a concept. Usually, something will grab me, and from there, once I get a concept, like the Clockwork Girls or the Zombie Girl Scout Hunters, Girl Scout Zombie Hunters, what I'll do is I'll have a concept artist, which is there's more than a few to put down my ideas, how I want something to look, and then from there, once I'm happy, because sculptors are artists too, and if you give them too much room, they're going to do what they want and not what you want, and because they're
Yeah.
creative, like they're creative, so I design them. I work heavily with one of my sculpting friends named Dave Soderquist, who's very creative himself, and he did a lot of the Dark Fable stuff.
Yep.
And from there, I also work with Kev Adams now, and Kev is quite a sculptor. And usually, after I get the concept, I have it drawn up if I need to be. I submit him a package. I call him on the phone. We work out the kinks, and I basically at this age, then I look at the greens, and then from the greens, I can correct it a little bit maybe. But
Mhm.
sculptors hate correcting things because time is
Yeah.
money.
Yep.
But and it's just what I decide I want to do. I mean, it's so whimsical.
That's
Like
cool.
even your range, you guys have some responsibility for Ike's Angels
Mm.
because we had played Pulp Alley years ago, and I said, wouldn't it be neat to get all Pulp Heroin Force for Pulp Alley? And
Yeah.
it kind of put in my head the seed was planted, and then from there I fleshed it out over the next years, got the concepts I wanted, the names I wanted, and that's basically how it works.
On
That's
your
awesome.
on your figure range, what are some of your? I know you have a wide variety of stuff. You got the steampunk stuff. You have the monster bait. You have a lot of different ranges. What are some of your more popular series, or is it the goblins? Is it the orcs? Is it the you know, or the zombies? What's some of your more popular miniatures?
All the miniatures, once they're created, have a phase where they're very
Hmm.
popular and they kind of fade a little bit.
Yep.
For some reason, Dark Fable cultists right now are the go-to miniature.
Hmm.
Where people are ordering a ton of the cultists. They were sculpted by Kev Adams, and they're very popular. The
That's
Kev Adam
cool.
goblins, the pig orcs, and the pig orcs are doing very
Yeah.
well now, and the bugbears. It just if they hit that niche, there's a set
Hmm.
of rules out that came out, and the fantasy monsters are doing very well right now.
All right. Are you going to continue expanding on the range? Is that something that you're? Is it going to continue growing and getting new miniatures? It's pretty big already. It's got a lot of stuff. You going to keep
It's
adding?
yeah. What it'll do is I pick fights with projects. I'll like the monsters were a project for a Kickstarter. I usually am driven by Kickstarters, where the pig orcs were a Kickstarter and the goblins were a Kickstarter. And so what next? Ike's Angels will be a Kickstarter, and then after
Hmm.
that, I'll generally expand a range by getting some ideas in my head that I like, and then I'll put it all together. And Kickstarter's biggest tool is not funding as much as exposing people to the range.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so, will I go back to monsters if I see like I've been working with Kev for troglodytes and mushroom men? So eventually they'll make it down the pike. Um, it's just it's whatever idea I have in the mind I really want to work on.
Tell us where could folks find Dragon Bait miniatures, is it's probably sold definitely through your own website. Do you have any kind of vendors out there, or do you go to conventions or anything like that?
I at this stage I don't do conventions anymore. I did TotalCon, and I do TotalCon every year in Massachusetts. And I do. I have a vendor called Fenris Games in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
And but basically, it's my website. My website does most of the damage. People go on the website. I've been around for 10 years, so a lot of the folks I have some pretty good customer service. I see and ship, so um,
Yeah.
they that's pretty much ideal through the website.
Okay. Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. And that's pretty much like us too. I mean, folks could find us other places, but definitely more of a go to the website is probably the best thing. And we're coming up on our 10-year anniversary officially. I think we decided that the first edition book was released somewhere around like March 13th, about 10 years ago. So we're coming up on our 10-year anniversary for Pulp Alley. That's pretty exciting. We ought to do something special for that. I don't know what we'll do. So you mentioned the Kickstarter already, and I think that's really something that to make sure folks really get on board with and hear a lot about. And we're going to be doing a bunch of games, at least a few more games with these miniatures before Joe makes us send them back. Eventually, I don't know. We may keep them for a while. But these are just beautiful miniatures. I guess I look at this. I look at this darn kangaroo, and I just think this is one of the most beautifully painted miniatures I think I've seen in a long time. When you see the subtle shading there and the mixing, of the colors, I just think that is really beautiful. That's a really good artist that painted this, in my opinion. It's not a big flashy miniature or anything like that, but my gosh, to me, that's a beautiful miniature.
the
Tell us a little bit about the Kickstarter. When is it going to launch? Um, you know, um, how many days is it going to be? What kind of stuff are we going to be able to find on the Kickstarter?
the Kickstarter is going to launch this Sunday morning.
Sunday morning.
You'll be able to find on the Kickstarter. The Kickstarter will last 30 days, and on the Kickstarter, you'll be able to find Ike's Angels, which were the Allied forces. We'll see the Kimono Dragons. We'll see the Japanese zombies, uh, Unit Z-23, and we'll also see a batch of gray aliens, the 5 of them. Believe it's Dr. Mojo and his 4 henchmen. And usually, with the success of the Kickstarter, I have a couple of more maybe Ike Angels up my sleeve I could work on. I'm working with Dave right now on, and we'll just see how well the Kickstarter does. I know I plan 4 more Ike's Angels, but um, we'll just see what I can do for add-ons.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have the?
So
Do you have
one
the?
add-on I think that you've been talking about
Oh,
is this really cool, and I broke the flowers off. Don't tell Joe I broke these off.
uh,
He'll
Oh
send somebody.
my
Oh,
God.
oh, it wasn't me. It just fell off. Um, Check out this beautiful figure here. Doesn't that make you feel like it came right out of the heavy metal movie? That is so cool, badass looking.
he
We are going to have a character card for this one as well. Very cool character. Just loads and loads of character on this. And I think that's something that I appreciate about really good sculptors, and you have some cool ideas for miniatures, and you have some good sculptors and some good artists that really help bring those ideas to life. And you can see they're just like
Mhm.
dripping in character. They're just dripping in je ne sais quoi, They
Yeah, they're
have,
layered. They're not just like flat.
yeah, yeah.
You know.
And I think I look at these miniatures, and none of these were 3D designed or sculpted or anything like that. These are old school, fellas pushing putty around with little pointy objects and sculpting
That's
these. I
crazy.
think it's just an amazing job.
Yeah.
Just, I hope people will support this, because this is the craftsmanship that I really love. I'm old enough now that, and I have been doing this long enough that I don't like crappy miniatures anymore. And I can look back, and I'm not going to name names, right? But I bought a lot of pretty crappy miniatures over the years. Um, and now, as I get older, I like good miniatures now, and I'm just not going to waste my money on stuff that doesn't measure up. And I think these really do. I think these really do. They have a beautiful level of character and humor to them, and they just, every one of them, in my opinion, is a work of art. I think they're beautiful. I think they're beautifully done. And you know what? The paint jobs can really make or break someone when they're looking at the painted figure. Uh, if you're looking at a figure that has a beautiful paint job on it, a good painter can make a meh kind of miniature look good.
Yeah.
But I've seen these miniatures without paint on them, and they are awesome. Not only do they look awesome unpainted, they look awesome when they're painted as well. Just amazing stuff. So really, really excited about this. So, Joe, how did you get into all of this? What got you into this idea of tabletop gaming and miniatures and that sort of thing?
I'm going to say when I was 14 in 1976, we played a game called In the Labyrinth, the fantasy trip. It was by
Yeah.
Steve Jackson. And between
Uh-huh.
that and D&D, there was a lot of miniatures. And that was the day of nice chewy lead miniatures. And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, miniatures were the way to go. And so we did all sorts of chainmail mass battles. And me and my buddy who started Duck Fable, we just loved collecting miniatures.
Yeah.
And over the days, I had retired and I had a huge selection of painted and unpainted. And what happened is when I retired from the military, my buddy gave me a call and said a sculptor, Kev Adams, had like a block of time that if I wanted to sculpt 12 miniatures, I could do it. And that's when it's all who you know in the industry. Like you have to find a good sculptor who will be able to sculpt for you. And that's what really got me going because I like to create. And the so it began with Kev Adams, and it's very addictive. Once you get an idea in your head, and I'm very particular, if I can't have a good sculptor do what I want them to do, I won't produce the mini, or I won't have the mini produced because I want to fall in love with the miniature myself, and because I know that if I don't like it, nobody else is going to buy it either. So I just keep high standards. I think for my own, quality control, and usually people, buy a few of them, and I enjoy doing it.
Very cool. Do you get a chance to play anymore? Do you have a local club or anything? What kind of games are you playing these days?
I play two games. My miniature company, I call it my tax shelter. We are in Carver, and I have enough of my two companies. And it's a 20 by 30 store, and we have a war game club there called the Cheerborn Generals.
Oh
And
yeah.
we play the two games we really play now is we do Dungeons and Dragons 5e because some of the people like that. But we
Yeah.
also play Pulp Alley. In fact, we had a game here last night. And we also play Wars of Oz. Wars of Oz by Buxer Do is a really fun strategic game. Like Black and Powder in the Wizards of Oz, the Land of Oz.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So those are my two. I go to the cons, Cold Wars, Fallen, and Historicon, but I push around. We play Pulp, and we also play Wars of Oz.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, that was the Wars of Oz. I think that's one of Chris Abbey's little projects there in the UK. So lots of cool miniatures available for Wars of Oz as well. Very cool. Very cool. All right, let's see. I guess that's the end of my list. Bessy, do you have any questions for Joe?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, let's see if anybody had any questions on here. We really haven't been paying attention to this. Any questions, boys and girls? Any questions from folks out there? We're coming really close to the end. I guess the big highlights are everybody looking forward to Sunday morning when Joe launches his Kickstarter. And I think it's going to go live before our live video. And we are going to be doing the Nutcracker video, Nutcracker scenario. So I didn't really talk about that. So we have two really cool Pulp Alley files that are going to be available to folks that get on board and back this Kickstarter. So one is character cards for all of these characters, and it's going to be free. All you have to do is be a backer for the Kickstarter, and you're going to get that file from Joe, and it's going to give you character cards for a PDF, a download for every single character that we've looked at here today. Maybe not the Greys. I don't know that I did the Greys, but I did do one for the bomber. I don't remember if I did any for the Greys, but the Greys have a really cool story. And then so there's two files. One of them is character cards. So if you get on board and back the Kickstarter, you're going to get that. And then the other file that you can get is a 3 scenario mini campaign, which is going to be the 3 scenarios that we're playing over, this little course's time here. So you get that last scenario. What were we calling that one? At Hell's Gate. And then you're going to get the Nutcracker, and then you're going to get the 3rd scenario as well. And the 3rd scenario, I believe, is called Rescuing Amelia or something like that. I can't remember exactly what the title is.
I blinked since then. I know.
But it's a rescue scenario to save Amelia. Joe has an awesome story. Not only does he have some really cool miniatures for this, but he really does have a very cool story. Hopefully, Joe will come back and we can talk a little bit more about this little universe, this little story that Joe has kind of created around all of this. Because why do we have these female commandos? What the heck are the aliens doing? And why the heck does he have a top hat? Where did the zombies come from? All of this stuff and more will be revealed. All of this stuff and more. Do we have any questions from folks out there? What's the estimated delivery time frame? Hey, Kevin, are you talking about his Kickstarter or the one that we just finished up? Do you know? You know what? I bet you he's got a pretty good time frame, Kevin, because as far as I can tell, a lot of the miniatures are already cast. So at this point, what he's really doing is waiting for y'all to let him know how many more he needs to make. It's not like he's sitting there trying to wait for to get the money to pay the cast, to pay the sculptors. The figures have been sculpted. The figures have been molded. I guess I'll let Joe. Do you have an idea how quickly you'll be shipping the miniatures?
I will ship the miniatures the day within. Well, always go long. Within a month of the Kickstarter ending, since you hit it right on the head, Dave. The molds, everything's been produced. Will be 1 month after I get the Kickstarter. I finished it, so I'll immediately be getting it out of the way, spinning them up, and taking it from there.
So, William, one question came from William Schmidt Motson here, and he was asking, Joe, will you be adding any more of the Moon Maidens, the Moon Maidens group?
The Moon Maidens, there were sculpts from Dave Soderquist, and I acquired the range from him. He's my good friend and sculptor, and he could add to them. They're more of the they're a bit more risque for the battlefield, but yes, I think in the future that I do have the teas. So there'll be a day when I wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to get some moon maidens made. And I will definitely eventually add to the range.
Okay. Yeah. Checking the page, someone mentioned the space cockroaches, and those were like one of the first things on my list.
Yeah.
When we were looking at the site the other day, Bessie and I were, and I got to the space cockroaches, I'm like, oh yeah, that's first on the list. I got to get some of those. You talk about some figures that you could use in just about any kind of crazy setting too. You could use that in your post-apocalypse. I was thinking about getting them for just like a fantasy setting with like my Jason the Argonauts thing. I'd throw those into, I'd have Phantom Ace taking them out with his Phantom 45s. I would play with those space cockroaches, or at least the not the space cockroaches, but just the big ones that didn't have all the extra stuff on them. The space cockroaches were really cool too, but then he has some that are just giant cockroaches. I really liked those. So the idea here to Kevin, and just to finish up with Kevin though, a lot of people don't know this, but when the Kickstarter ends, Kickstarter holds that money for, I believe it's about 2 weeks. They will sit on your money, and so they don't even pay you until about 2 weeks after the Kickstarter ends. Then it takes a while for the bank, oftentimes, to finish the transfer or whatever. So the whoever's running the project normally has to wait about 3 weeks before they even get their money, and then that's the funds that they can usually use to do their production.
Mhm.
So it's pretty unusual for someone to ship within a month of it actually ending. That's a high goal to set for yourself right there. But I don't think, man, this cat Joe, he's raking in the money over there at Dragon Bait Miniatures. So I'm pretty sure he'll get those figures out pretty quick.
He seems professional.
He seems professional. Who casts your miniatures? Where do you actually have your miniatures, the metal miniatures cast?
Well, this gives me a chance to do a shout out too. One of my sculptors, Dave Soderquist, who owns
Uh-huh.
Bronze Age Miniatures,
Uh-huh.
he does all my mold making and casting in the United States.
Wow. How about that?
Yeah, I know
Very
enough about.
cool.
Yeah, I don't touch anything. That's why it goes smoothly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I could see that. Oh, that makes sense.
Paul Sanderson is the painter from England who museum paints. Who I call him museum quality. Paul Sanderson from England is the guy who painted all the minis. Like I have each one pro painted when I add them to my line for
Yeah.
photography. You're dealing with Paul Sanders uh, painted museum pieces where
Wow.
I consider them photographic quality. That any angle you can take a picture of them.
Oh
Paul does
yeah.
a great job, and he's been working with us a long time.
Yeah.
Those
No,
are
no,
yeah.
no, I agree. I agree. I was looking at Amsterdam here, and she has the little timer on her. She's got sticks of dynamite here, and she's got a little timer, and it looks like I could even see like hands on the little timer. Um, they're just painted so beautifully. I actually feel bad. I legitimately feel bad for Joe having to have me, rub my greasy paws
It was pretty
uh,
audacious.
all over these beautiful miniatures, and there I am, man. I had just finished this big greasy cheeseburger, and I had grease just like dripping down my sleeve, and there I was just grabbing at all these miniatures. I tell you what, I don't know if there's even going to be any paint left on them by the time they make it back to Joe. That's what I feel bad about.
I I trust in Bessie. Bessie, keep an eye on him.
Bessie keeps me in line pretty good. Let's see. Be sure to post on the players group when the Kickstarter goes live. Yes, indeed. GW Low. Hey, boys and girls, if you haven't already, please take a moment and make sure you hit that like button for us. If you're not a subscriber, you ought to get subscribed to our little channel here. Thank you, GW Rules, for joining. Thank you, Bri G. I hope you all will support his Kickstarter when it
Mhm.
comes out. Spread the word. Let folks know about it. And I guess that's it for tonight. We're already a minute over, so we're going to call that good. We're going to call that a show. All right, Joe, hang on the line for a minute, and I'm gonna say goodbye to the boys and girls. Bye, boys and girls. Dun
Bye,
dun
boys
dun
and
dun dun
girls.
dun 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 dun. Go check out his website.
No.